It's nearly 1 year ago to the day our beloved Chargers form a coalition with the rival Raiders and plot a strategy to move to Los Angeles.
Everyone knows that Carson is ready, willing, and able to do this.
Soon after our city leaders scramble to form a stadium plan here, negotiations with the team break down. So the race against Stan Kroenke and the Rams to L.A. is on.
And are we going to keep the Chargers right here in San Diego?
The NFL holds a town hall meeting, and San Diegans plead their case.
They need to come back to the negotiating table.
And thousands say their goodbyes at possibly the final San Diego home football game ever.
It's not over till they're gone. We've got to keep on showing respect for the team, and hopefully they'll stay.
It all comes down to a decisive vote by league owners in Houston.
This agreement also allows the Chargers to relocate to Los Angeles as well.
The Chargers then strike a deal with the Rams and appear headed to Inglewood. But they postpone a move to give San Diego one last shot. One final season to save 55 years of football history in America's finest city. Now, Team Chairman Dean Spanos sits down with me, Kyle Kraska, to discuss charging forward.
Dean, thanks for taking the time today.
Absolutely.
Obviously, this has been a gut-wrenching year for a lot of people. Football fans here in San Diego have been put through an emotional ringer. What about you personally? What has this year been like for you, considering the future of your football franchise? And how do you feel today, considering where you've been and where you are now?
Well, obviously, it's been a difficult year for the fans and everybody, both on the field and off the field. But off the field, it was, it was very, very difficult for our family and me personally. I am really happy. I'm ecstatic right now that we have the definite direction here going forward with the city and the county. As you know, I think everybody knows I had a very good meeting with the mayor and the head of the County Board of Supervisors last week, and we're going to be meeting here in the near future.
So where we're at is that you have a deal in principle with the Rams. You could move to Los Angeles as early as next year. If you do, your franchise would go up in value considerably. Yet here you are talking to San Diego again. Why?
Well, I've said this and I'll continue to say it. Myself personally and our family have always wanted to be in San Diego. Coming out of the meetings in Houston, the ownership offered us $100 million more to add to the cost of the stadium, which is a significant amount of money. I believe starting at this point in time, we have a full year to put a process in place that I think has a much greater chance of success, a citizens initiative, versus a process that I didn't personally agree with last year. So that being said, I think it gives us a great start moving forward with the Chargers, with the city and the county.
Let's talk some specifics. What do you see as the biggest roadblock as far as getting a stadium built in San Diego? Is it the location? Is it the financing? Is it a public vote? Is it all of those? Is it none of those?
It's all of those, and I don't look at it as roadblocks. I think you have to pick the site, you have to pick the location, obviously, you have to pick the financing structure, you have to put the whole thing together, and then you go to the public, you explain it to them, and they'll vote on it.
Let's talk about a few of those. Mayor Faulkner says that the city would be willing to look at any option as far as the location of a stadium. Presumably that's either Qualcomm Stadium or downtown. Are you open to either one?
I am, and I'm going to look at both, both sites. I have been, and I'm going to continue to do that. And and then the first several meetings that I have with the mayor and the County Board of Supervisors, we're going to be discussing those issues specifically, why I think this might be better and what have you, and I want to hear what they have to say.
Right now, is there a distinct advantage of one over the other that you can discuss?
Not really. I mean, we're really kind of in the infancy stages. I mean, I have some idea at both about, what it might look like, but nothing definitive right now. But, that's what we're working on right now.
Let's talk about the financing hurdle. Mayor Faulkner has proposed $350 million of public funds be used towards building a stadium. It's been reported the Chargers would be seeking more like $500 million in public funds. Is that difference a non-starter?
Well, I think before you can even say anything like that, you've got to look at the project. What are we building and where are we building it? There could be significant cost differences if it's at one location or the other. So to answer that question, until we decide where we're going to build or we'd like to build this new facility, I need to wait and see.
You mentioned you've had preliminary meetings with the mayor, Kevin Faulkner, and with Supervisor Ron Roberts. Can you just tell us the tenor of those meetings, how they've gone so far, and how you feel about the start of this process?
No, I think the start, it's great. I mean, we all looked at each other, we all shook hands, and we all agreed that we're going to give this thing 100% effort going forward this year. There may be things that I don't like, or maybe things they don't like in the actual deal itself, but maybe that's good. You know, nobody's going to get exactly everything they want, but, you know, there has to be concessions on both sides. So I'm looking forward to working with them.
Coming up next on Charging Forward.
Feelings have been hurt this past year. You need the public on your side. How do you mend those fences now?
That's when Charging Forward returns.
Let's talk about the public vote. Feelings have been hurt this past year. You need the public on your side. How do you mend those fences now?
I think it's a work in progress. I think it's one step at a time. I think when fans and the people and the voters see the initiative or the proposal that we're going to put forth, and hopefully we'll have the support of the city and the county, and they'll see a united effort going forward. And I think hopefully the business community, I'm confident they'll step up and support this.
You mentioned a citizens initiative earlier. If that is in fact the route that you want to take, that means certain timelines have to go into effect right away. By the end of March, you would have to file for a notice of intention, basically letting the public know exactly what you're doing and how you're planning to do it and how you plan to finance it. That's less than 7 weeks from today. Is that possible?
Let me say this, that's not a drop-dead date. That's a date that you want to try to come to as close to possible as getting your deal done, because you need a certain amount of time to gather the 60-something thousand signatures you're going to need. So if you go too far past that date, you're going to leave yourself not enough time to get the signatures. So it's not a drop-dead date, but you know, I mean, I would say within the next couple months, we've got to come to fruition in terms of what we want to do.
And you're confident that that timeline can be met?
Yes.
Over the course of this past year, we haven't heard a lot from you personally, Dean. You've been busy trying to work on a stadium deal and a relocation deal. Do you feel moving forward you'd like to be more in the forefront of this? Will we hear more from you?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to have to be a major part of this, and I intend to do that.
What about other people? We're going to be chatting with Phillip Rivers during this special. Here's a guy who's a leader. He has said that when you're the quarterback in an NFL city, you're the quarterback of the city, not just the team. Can he be someone, or someone else that you may have in mind? Could they be the face of getting a stadium built in San Diego?
Well, I don't know about face, but one of many faces, and obviously Phillip would be great. I can tell you LT called me the other day and said anything that he could do to help, he was there for us. Dan Fouts called. So, I mean, I've had a large group of players call and say, anything you need from us, you know, we're there to help you. So, I mean, that's encouraging, and it shows the support and the care that these players, even though they're not playing now, really have for San Diego.
We may have some folks sitting at home right now watching this. Maybe they're not football fans. Maybe they're just folks who live in San Diego, and they're wondering to themselves, what's in this for me? Can you explain the importance of having the NFL and having a new stadium in San Diego to those folks?
Well, hopefully, I mean, at the end of the day, this is not a stadium just for the Chargers. This to me is a regional asset. It's something that can be used for many types of events. And so it's not just 10 games a year and maybe the Aztecs games and a couple bowl games. I mean, the vision has to be much greater than that.
How confident are you today that this can happen in San Diego?
You know, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't think so. And I think for the first time, if we can align everybody together, the business community, the politicians here in San Diego, the business entity the Chargers and whoever else might be involved, moving forward together, I think it really gives it a great chance.
And if it doesn't work out here and you end up relocating to Los Angeles, will you know in your heart that you gave it 100%, absolutely everything you could, and it just didn't work out?
I'm not going to say anything about relocation. My focus is on getting a stadium done here in San Diego, and that's my focus. And we've got a lot of work in front of us. We got a year to get this all done, and that's all I care about right now.
Let me ask you one final question.
Sure.
How important to you is your legacy, is your family's legacy here in San Diego? And how important is it to you that generations of San Diegans and football fans hold you and your family in high esteem?
Well, I mean, that's important personally, but at the end of the day, this is not about me specifically. This is about San Diego. This is a great asset. It belongs here, and hopefully we can keep it here.
My thanks to Dean Spanos. If you are wondering about the fate of Chargers Special Counsel Mark Fabiani, I invited Mark to appear on this program, but he declined. He did, however, assure me that he would be the one organizing the Citizens Initiative on behalf of the Chargers. Now, considering Mark's popularity among San Diego voters, I asked Mark if he would do so while fading into the background. He laughed and said that would be a fair assumption.
Coming up next, Kyle goes one-on-one with Chargers quarterback Phillip Rivers.
Finding out for sure we'd be here this year was certainly, I was fired up, and hopefully it's this year and beyond.
That's when Charging Forward returns.
Quarterback Phillip Rivers has played all 12 of his NFL seasons in a San Diego uniform, and the 5-time Pro Bowler is the Chargers' all-time leader in touchdown passes and victories. An Alabama native, but he and his family have embraced the San Diego community, and Phillip has made it crystal clear he wants the Chargers to stay right where they are.
Welcome back. I'm joined now by Chargers quarterback Phillip Rivers. Phillip, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You have not been secretive in your desire to stay here in San Diego, to have the Chargers stay in San Diego. So take us back to that moment when you heard definitively that the Chargers will be playing 2016 here in San Diego. What was that like for you?
Well, obviously it was exciting for our whole family, and I know all the Chargers players and everybody in this building was excited. It was kind of a roller coaster ride of uncertainty ever since really the season ended, that game against Miami, and so it was kind of a ups and downs, you know, kind of rode the wave of, oh, it doesn't look good, oh, maybe got a chance. So finding out for sure we'd be here this year was certainly, I was fired up, and hopefully it's this year and beyond, but certainly knowing we get a chance to come back here and play in front of our fans and at our stadium, we're all very excited.
You've got a big family, you've grown roots here in San Diego. So as this season wore on and there was a great deal of uncertainty, did you think about what you would have done? Would you have uprooted your family and moved to L.A.? Would you have been a commuter quarterback?
Well, we were going to weigh all those options. I think we had even gotten that far to seeing what kind of drive it would be, what kind of we'd kind of discussed all of those things. We'd have had left all doors open, but thankfully we'll be staying right where we are and be doing what we've been doing now for 12 seasons.
And let's talk about that Miami game, the final home game. Could have been the final home game ever here in San Diego. A great win by the Chargers, but I think more significantly was the post game and how the players and the coaches interacted with fans, thanking them and maybe saying goodbye for the final time. Tell us about what that day was like for you.
Yeah, it was an emotional day, a special day, and I think even now that we are coming back, it doesn't lessen the significance or what that day meant to, I know, as players and hopefully the fans. So it was special. I think in the year that we had, it being very disappointing and not up to par or our standards by any means, but I think it showed, at least I felt, that the Chargers, what they've meant to this community for 55 years, are way more than what the score says each and every Sunday. And we know it's about winning, and we want to get back to doing that. But I think that's what we felt more than, I know I did more than anything. And the thought of, if that is the last time, how special it has been here.
You said earlier this year that being a quarterback in the NFL is like being a quarterback of the city, like being a quarterback of San Diego. That being said, do you think you would like to use your leadership moving forward in this relocation effort, or at least to stop the relocation, do you think you'd like to be more vocal? Because obviously this is going to come down to a fan vote, a vote amongst San Diegans. And would you like to get out there and try to help the effort?
Well, I think, again, I think that remains to be seen, you know, what I will be asked or what role I should play. I do think the biggest role I can play is helping us win. I think that's the biggest thing I can do, to be honest with you. I don't think it's me standing there saying, you know, you should vote this, should vote that. You know, I really don't think that's for me to do, but I do think playing well and us winning is the biggest selling point I can bring.
Let me ask you personally, 12 years in the league now, you're playing at a very, very high level. You're about to start a new extension of your contract. How many more years would you like to play, and would a relocation change how many more years you would like to play?
I really don't think that would. Certainly it would be awesome to finish right here in San Diego. There's no hiding that. Again, what this community's meant to me and my family, and then just how awesome it's been being a San Diego Charger. So hopefully it will finish that way. How many more years? I don't know. I mean, God willing, and I'm healthy. You know, I don't see myself just saying, all right, I've had enough. You know, I think as long as I can play and I'm healthy, and it obviously the team has to feel the same way. I want to keep going, because you can't come back. You can't come back and do this down the road, and so as long as I feel like I can help us win and they feel that same way, I feel like I got a lot of good years left.
Phillip, it's always fun talking to you. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Kyle.
Coming up next, Kyle and John talk to General Manager Tom Telesco.
We want to be a part of this legacy to get a stadium built here. You know, for San Diego, for kids growing up, we want to have that done. So we know what our role is. Our role is we have to win.
That's when Charging Forward returns.
Welcome back. I'm joined now by CBS News 8 sports reporter John Howard. John, tell me some of your impressions of what we heard earlier from Dean Spanos.
Well, one of my biggest concerns about this new, fresh approach from Dean Spanos was whether or not it would be another year of smoke and mirrors. Yeah. I really wanted to hear out of Dean, why should the fans be confident that this time the Chargers are going to stick at the negotiating table? Because last year there was just a dark cloud over the entire season, not just because of the 4-12 record, but because the Chargers walked away from the negotiating table, and it really appeared that this was going to be the final year in Chargers history. And my biggest concern was, is this going to be a big repeat of last year? And after listening to Dean in his interview with you, I really get the feeling they are all in, to draw from a poker term, they're all in this time.
We are joined now by Chargers General Manager Tom Telesco. Tom, thanks for taking the time today.
Anytime.
I know throughout the season, as this whole relocation thing was rearing its head, you said repeatedly that your focus was putting a good product on the football field, no matter where that field was. But that being said, I have to ask you your thoughts on the Chargers staying in 2016.
Well, I'm excited we're here. I think everybody is. You know, this is where we like to be. We have a great fan base here. And we know on our side in the football operations, we have to have that product on the field. That's a big part of this moving forward. We know that. And, you know, look, I have a burning desire to win every year, like a lot of people here do. But we know there's a little extra emphasis this year, and that's important to us. So, but no, we're excited and ecstatic to be here.
Tom, your off-season changes really kind of started right when the season ended. And the first thing, let's talk about the head coach, Mike McCoy. A lot of people, a lot of the members of the media thought McCoy would likely be let go, and you guys really did the exact opposite, extending his contract. What is it that you see in him that maybe a lot of the fans and a lot of members of the media are not seeing?
Sure. Well, you know what? When you have a year like we did this year, you have to look at the whole organization top to bottom, and we did that. And but we feel like, you know, Mike's the right head coach for this football team. He's got a vision and a plan. He holds the players accountable. I know these things are things that we see inside the building. You don't necessarily see this on the outside, but we have to look at the 3 years of work that we've had here. And there's been some good things here. Obviously, this past year was a rough year. You know, a pretty big bump in the road for us. But when we look at the big picture, we like where he is, and we want to build a coaching staff around Mike.
How about other areas of the team and the unit that need to be addressed? We've already kind of talked about the offensive line. What other areas do you think need some attention in regards to getting some new guys in, free agency or via the draft?
Sure. Well, I mean, you look at overall, our defense finished very well. They played at the end of the year the way I thought we would play the whole year. And what I saw in the preseason, really saw more at the end of the year than the beginning. But we've got a lot of young talent on defense that's exciting.
And Tom, finally, let's take this thing full circle and let's talk about the importance of this year. It's important every year in your business to win, but maybe winning this year could potentially save football in San Diego. If there's a public vote in November, you could have played 8 or 9 games by then. How important is it, and what kind of added pressures do you feel, and will you press upon others, that you guys have a winning record at that point?
It's funny because obviously in our business it's year to year, and there's pressure every year. And there's never a year where there's not pressure. But look, I'd be naive to say, hey, this year is important. There's a big emphasis. We want to be a part of this legacy to get a stadium built here. You know, for San Diego, for kids growing up, we want to have that done. So we know what our role is. Our role is we have to win. We want to get a team on the field that the fans are excited about, that they can get behind, that they want to see play.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom.
Right.
Great to see you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.